Hello, my name is Matt Peister, and I'm from the Alliance for Youth Climate Leadership. And this is just a quick little overview of one of my favorite lessons that we come in and do at schools. This specific lesson is one of my favorites because it's as in depth as the students want it to be, and it can lead to actual projects that students work on either in class or in an eco club. The first time I did this, we ended up creating an elective that I taught, and it was a sustainable project that we worked on for many months. So this one is on sustainability and making a difference. I would start off by just giving a quick overview of various levels of sustainability for each person. So knowing that individual is the smallest level in individual, things like reduce, reuse, recycle in terms of not having food waste or composting at your house or something. And knowing this is the smallest level, but it's also one of the most important because it's the basis for all the rest. And oftentimes it helps inspire you to make those bigger changes in these other three levels. So individual is the first level. The second level is going to be community. And this is a community level of action or sustainability. It can be like starting a composting initiative in your town. Then it's no longer just the impact of one person, it's then the impact of tens or even hundreds, maybe even thousands of people in your town. So you're scaling up to make a bigger impact. Next is going to be state or legislative or corporation level, and this can affect millions of people, quite a lot. So again, scaling up your efforts and your action and your impacts. And then lastly, we have worldwide, which is spanning borders of countries. This is now affecting millions, billions even of people. So these are the four levels of sustainability. Most people are most familiar with the individual level, but it's certainly not the end goal. So today, I want us to focus on community because again, everyone's really familiar with individual level. Everyone's familiar with riding your bike more, using less plastic. But I think it's really important to also understand community level impact so you can make a huge impact compared to just one person. And the way we're going to do this is the students in this case would be identifying a local problem. So this is a very interactive portion of this lesson. They would identify a local problem, ecological problem that they see. Perhaps you could have them for an assignment before today. You could have them just look around their town and write down local ecological problems that they see. If not, you can still do it here, just generating ideas. So they'll identify a problem, and then they'll identify one problem they want to focus on. And then they'll identify from that one problem out of the list, they'll identify various solutions that they could personally lead. So it's not me leading, it's not some eco group leading it, it's the students actually doing the project. And dream big. There are students that have done massive things, as we'll get into later, that are affecting entire countries. So dream big with the solutions, but also be realistic about how much time that you have. And of course, ragged thoughts are welcome in this. If someone has a half-baked idea, throw it out. Maybe the class can help fully bake it. And so then you would go into this part where they throw out local problems and you type in whatever the problems are, plastic waste, whatever it is, water bottles, things like that. Whatever problems they are specifically seeing, you locate them here. And then you vote as a class or whatever to highlight one specific solution or problem that they want to focus on. Once you've highlighted that specific problem, then you go to the local solution and you try and create another list of solutions that could be targeted, that they could lead to that one problem. So if it's plastic waste, maybe they could do an education program. Maybe they could get a recycling program started. Maybe they could get local businesses to switch from plastic bags to paper bags. They could advocate for all these different things. So solutions that they could do, they can make a difference, and that's what this is about. And then after that, you go back to the idea of let's talk about some level. Let's take a step back for a minute and let's talk about those levels again, about individual, community, state, legislative, corporation, and worldwide. And the idea for every one of these levels, from individual to worldwide, is improvement, not perfection. Being absolutely no impact in the environment isn't realistic or healthy in general for people to try to achieve. But to try and improve and just reduce our impact, that can be healthy. So some various individual things here that students may have heard of, but maybe not. You can talk about food waste here, the ugly and tasty. If you go into the grocery store and there's a weird looking fruit, a lot of times it'll just get thrown away because people don't want it. So an individual thing you can do is just buy the ugly fruit. It still tastes the same. You can bring your reusable grocery bags, so you're not getting those paper or plastic bags from the store. You can go ahead and buy in bulk where you're reusing containers, so you're not buying new plastic or glass containers. You can ride your bike instead of driving. You can eat more vegetables, because by reducing the amount of meat we eat, that's one of the biggest individual impacts that a person can make environmentally. That's a huge one, to reduce meat or even go vegetarian or vegan. It's fantastic for the environment. Can't overstress that one. General reduce, reuse, recycle. An example of that could be using less of energy in the dryer and instead using a drying rack, so you're not using all that energy. Or putting your thermometer lower in winter and higher in summer, so it's not, your house isn't working as hard to regulate it to a temperature. You're not bringing it as high in the winter, and you're not bringing it as low in the summer for your AC and heating. Or adding some insulation to your house so that your house is better at keeping in the temperature that you want. And remember, with all of this, individual, just like a pyramid, individual is the basis, is the base here. So all the other levels are built off the individual level. So it's really important to have this individual impact that you do. And then the next would be community. And so an example of that could be the project that you had just talked about, where they had developed one. Another one that is a local to Keene, where I am right now, is Antioch University of New England. They help Community Garden Connections. And this is a group that tries to help people and organizations who want gardens for local food production. They help them make those gardens. So over the course of 5 years here, they built 68 garden beds at 13 social service agencies. And in 1 year alone, they donated over 4,000 pounds of food. So that's just one example of a community level impact. 4,000 pounds of food, that's huge. And the next one is Student Conservation Association. This one is kind of statewide, but also community, kind of flexible. Fantastic organization. I worked there myself. It's can be tied to AmeriCorps, which is similar to Peace Corps sometimes. And basically, you just go around and try and do conservation work for several months. It's a really, really, really great opportunity for students who want to get into conservation work and see if it's for them. Also, state legislative or corporation level. So again, moving up, and two examples of this are in 2019, the New York City mayor implemented Meatless Mondays for all New York City public schools. Now that is huge. While this is actually just, it's not the entire state, it's a city. New York City is big enough that I figured it would count in this group, because it's 79 million meatless meals per year. That and again, as I told you, each meatless meal is a huge environmental impact because it is so costly environmentally to raise animals, to eat meat. And then the next one is going to be Teach for the Future. This is an example where Teach for the Future, it's student led in Scotland and England. And the general idea is it's an emergency climate bill. And Teach for the Future, Teach the Future wants the climate emergency and ecological crisis to be incorporated in teacher training, as well as new professional teaching qualifications to improve the standard of education on the subject. That was a little quote I took from online, but basically this is student led on a state or country level, small country, and they are pushing for teachers to be more trained in dealing with this climate emergency so that they can in turn support students and teach students what they need to know. And lastly, we have the Kyoto Protocol and the Paris Agreement as two examples of worldwide impacts that can affect billions. After that, I did give them, at the time of this was an event that was up and coming. I think they have this event every year. So, next year, whatever year you're in, I would look this up. And it's called Youth Climate Leaders Academy 2020. And it's just an example of where people can go to work on their environmental goals, their projects, and get feedback and get support, professional support on that, so they can turn an idea into a successful project. And again, with this is a lesson where it can be just a completely theoretical lesson where you just talk about all this stuff and you come up with those plans but don't do anything. And you could also circle back to your local problem and solution that you made. And you could say, you could donate some class time to that. Or if you don't have that, maybe you can help the local or school eco group, if you have one, through that similar process, or engage in the solution that your class identified. All I'm saying is that students can get worked up about this and really want to engage in their solution. That happened when I did this, and it turned again into a several month-long project where students built a podcast to educate people on how to live sustainably for cheap. And it turned into education about just sustainability in general as well. It went beyond what I was ever thinking it would. And it all started from this lesson. So again, this is sustainability and making a difference. My name is Matt Peister from the Alliance for Youth Climate Leadership. And again, I hope that you will either invite us into your classroom to lead a lesson like this, or that you will take this, modify it however you want, and use it to help support your students and show them that they have the power to do all of this. You're just showing them the doors there, but they're the ones who are going to walk through it and make change in the world. Thank you again. Have a good day.